we have a left-handed player and the right-handed player. So left-handed paddle, right-handed paddle up there. Forehand in the middle is absolutely no help in this situation, right? It's a rule that, normally when you think about these kind of rules that have general application, like respect the X, which I'll mention again in a minute and give you some resources that you can go look at. Respect the X will always give you an answer. Now you can decide to ignore it. You can decide to do something different. We call it breaking the X. However, something like forehand in the middle as a maxim just is useless in this situation because I have no forehand in the middle. Hello and welcome to the Into Pickle YouTube channel, part of the BetterPickleball.com network of pickleball resources available to you to improve your pickleball. I'm your host. My name is Tony Roig. In this video, we're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about those things that you hear out on the court, oftentimes out on the court, less so on YouTube, more often on the court, that just don't make any sense. They're these maxims that you keep hearing out there that other players are spouting at you. And so in this video, we're going to address one of the most common ones. And this series is intended to dive into these types of myths, these types of things that you hear. So I have 4 different names up here. So that don't make no sense. What are you talking about? Stop the madness, or your suggestions. So if you have a suggestion, put it down in the comments below. Also, let us know down below. Is there something that you've heard on the courts that either you're not sure about, you're like, I'm not really sure that makes sense, or something you've heard out there that makes absolutely no sense, and you're just sitting there going like, what's going on out here, right? And let us know. We'll make a video about it and explore the nonsense that is out there. This week's video and this part of the series, we're going to be talking about forehand in the middle. It's almost impossible to play pickleball these days without hearing forehand in the middle. I hear it all the time. Players are like, oh, that was your forehand. Oh, that was, my forehand, whatever. I'm going to tell you something here. Forehand in the middle is one of the most limiting concepts that you can apply in your pickleball. And what we're going to do is I'm going to set up the court board over here to show you a couple of scenarios to show you how forehand in the middle just does not make any sense. Sometimes you end up backing into forehand in the middle, right? We'll talk about that. Sometimes you just back into forehand in the middle being the shot, but it's not something you can apply prospectively. In other words, it's not something you can say, you know what? I can figure out who should hit the next shot based on forehand in the middle. So over here on our demonstration pickleball court, I've set up 2 different scenarios to help us walk through how forehand in the middle just does not help when you're playing pickleball. So we have the serve team up here in the blue, and then we have the return team down here with the R's in the yellow. Each one has their little post-it paddle on. They're showing which side they're down on, whether they're right-handed players or left-handed players. And what you're going to see as we work through these is that forehand in the middle just does not provide any useful guidance in terms of who's supposed to take the ball in these situations. And in the second one, it's going to actually we're going to show you that it may lead to the incorrect result. So in this situation up here, we have a left-handed player and the right-handed player. So left-handed paddle, right-handed paddle up there. Forehand in the middle is absolutely no help in this situation, right? It's a rule that, normally when you think about these kind of rules that have general application, like respect the X, which I'll mention again in a minute and give you some resources that you can go look at. Respect the X will always give you an answer. Now you can decide to ignore it. You can decide to do something different. We call it breaking the X. However, something like forehand in the middle as a maxim just is useless in this situation because I have no forehand in the middle. And the same thing happens if I switch these players around. So the left-handed player is now on the right and the right-handed player is now playing on the left. Forehand in the middle is no help, right? There are 2 forehands. Which one takes it? Respect the X would give you the answer based on the trajectory of the shot. Before I move on to this one down here, I'm going to go ahead and link to Respect the X up here, an entire playlist that we have at the Into Pickle channel. If you like this kind of stuff, if you like really understanding how the game works, how everything comes together, make sure you subscribe to the channel. YouTube puts it out there. There's a button down there you can press, hit the bell notification. Whenever we put a video out like this, you'll get notified about it. So you can see how forehand in the middle doesn't help us here. It's, might as well not even know this exists in terms of this situation. In fact, here, you would argue that it's always forehand in the middle, right? So it's always going to be the correct answer, but it doesn't make sense, right? You can't apply it prospectively. Now let's switch it over here. So now you're the return team, and we're going to take the situation where this is a third shot. So the third shot's coming across, and let's take a ball that's high-ish, okay? So it's a ball that's around here at the time that it's passing the non-volley zone, okay? So a ball that is passing the non-volley zone about shoulder high where this player is standing. Forehand in the middle would say, this player, the player up in the non-volley zone whose forehand is on the outside, right, should let the ball continue to travel. So, and if you apply forehand in the middle here, you're going to let this ball travel through down here toward this player. Now you've created a situation where I have a player who has, a returner in this case, right, who has not made it up to the non-volley zone line yet, who's having to hit a volley farther away from the net, right? Also farther, further down, right? Because that ball has dipped as it travels back in this court. So the ball would be, you expect the ball would be higher here, right, than it would be here. And you've also gifted your opponents time, because you have gifted them the time from the moment that the ball, or from the time that the ball passed this plane here to the time that it got here to the time that it got back to here, was time that could have been taken away by you, right? Could have been removed from your opponents if this player had hit the ball. And what that time does is it allows these players to do what? To close space, right? To come in, to get closer to you, which is, I don't know about you, but I would rather have these players up here as far back as I can get them, right, than let them come forward. So allowing this ball go through does several things. It makes a more difficult shot for this player. It makes it more difficult in terms of height and also distance. It also pins this player, right? Because now this player has to stop their movement. They have to split step, get ready for the shot. If this player had taken the ball, the player could continue. And it also allows these players to come forward. Instead of letting the ball go through, the better shot here is for this player to stick their backhand out, and no one wants to hit, right? Stick that backhand out, volley the ball from there, pin these players back as far as you can with that shot, free this player up to move forward up to the non-volley zone line, and now you have a much better situation for you and for your team. But this is a really clear example about forehand in the middle. Not only is it not helpful in the situations I showed you up here with two forehands on the middle or on the outside, no help there, but it is hurtful to you when you're trying to apply a rule like this that has no place if you want to continue to advance in your game. Highly recommend you check out the Respect the X playlist that I referred to earlier and that I linked to, and I'll put it down in the description below. I'll link to a specific video up here on Respect the X to get you started on that process. You can also come into our BetterPickleball.com, sign up for our email list. We're happy to send you. We have a Respect the X guide in there that'll get you going on your Respect the X journey, and it's a really much more powerful way of learning this. And if you subscribe to the channel, the next video or the one after that is going to be talking about clarifying a common misunderstanding about Respect the X, about it being a receiving strategy and not a ball origination strategy. If you're into this kind of content, I look forward to seeing you again in our next video.